Good day, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of Unleash with FTEM, Unleash with From the Expert's Mouth. And today we have a double bonanza for you because our special guest in this episode is Suprabha Jha, an educator and a serial entrepreneur come social entrepreneur. Since there is so much to discover in this conversation with her, in today's episode, we will focus on her experiences in education. The next episode will cover part two of this discussion around entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship that also connects with her journey in the field of education. So let's dive straight into the conversation. So, Suprabha, welcome to the show. And why don't you tell us a little bit about your early journey and how you got into this fascinating field?
Thank you, Rajiv. I'm so happy to be here. And thank you for inviting me and sharing my journey, my experiences. I hope there is something for some take for everybody and inspire somebody to take a new initiative. As far as my journey is concerned, I have been an entrepreneur throughout with a mind of, creating the changes, the gaps. My nature has been throughout to understand people deeper, understand what is their behavior, and especially the children. So my whole focus has always been right from the college that how children learn. What is the process of learning in anything? It's not just academically, but anything when we teach children, like for example, reading or speaking nicely or culture or language. What is that process of learning, how our mind works, how our emotions work? That has always been important for me. I started Blue Orange in 2012 as a publication where we published around 60 to 80 books. But books was just a means because it was accepted by teachers without any limitation. So if I took a book, they understood that what is a book. So it was not a very revolutionary product. But inside the book, there were a lot of revolutionary things I did. My first book was a rhyme book that was intern actually for the early education children, because I always felt when we teach children London Bridge is falling down or we are teaching blah 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 blah, black sheep, are we conscious enough to understand that why are we teaching it? Because all these rhymes are having the root which was quite negative or a kind of some event which was at a wrong level.
Right.
But they do not have a genesis which is positive genesis, and rhyme is something that children enjoy. So when a child is at the most happy state, why not that time we put such nice things which can actually become knowledgeable, or which are actually knowledge, information, which is very useful for the children. So Blue Orange published its first books as Rhyme Time. And then the journey happened. We worked with a lot of books like reading, phonics, and art and everything. But our whole concept, in short, was always that books were a resource. We designed programs. We designed programs, even art. We had 8 books of series of art. But art was thing where I designed a program called Teach Art and Teach Through Art. So when you teach art and teach through art, so I was little strategic in it. I made an art book and entered schools, and people picked up book. But I also gave them a workshop. I also gave them a program to understand art at a deeper level. Our art teacher is one of the most important teacher in a school because she connects everybody, and she is the one who is having the class where everybody is happy. So why not use that class? So Blue Orange has published 80 products and various programs altogether.
So, how do we bring about this, change in education, and what needs to be done by the various stakeholders? Because it's a big challenge, and no one individual can do all this alone, right?
Absolutely.
So, how is it that you think this field can evolve, and how can we do something which again causes a shift when it comes to education and enhancing our value to the society?
In a very practical way, I tell you, Rajiv, there are 3 things which every school should do. I have worked with more than 500 schools, pan India and different states. I deliberately took schools in different states. I went to Chhattisgarh. I went to almost all state. I went to Manipur also. Uh, I wanted to understand similar books are going on. You know what is happening in our. But three things everybody has to do. First, every teacher needs to understand that teaching just does not happen in the classroom. The teaching happens in the corridors of the school. Children respect a teacher outside the classroom, because the moment you are inside the classroom, you are just a kind of a robot who is going to blabber out something, teach something, make them happy by sometime playing an antakshari to connect well, and make them feel that I am a very friendly teacher for that matter. But actual teaching happens outside, when you are talking to another peer, when you are behaving, when a child walks. See, uh, I this might be a little hard to say, but our education system is a system of Britishers.
Absolutely. I mean, yeah, that's a
Established.
fact.
It is an industrialized system of teaching. So we are industrialized in a way that when a child walks, he has to bid us good morning.
Right.
If he doesn't, you'll say, "What, you do not wish us?" But you understand, child is a human. And children are people who think. You do not, if I give you one thing, I tell you a pen,
Right.
what comes to your mind?
Writing instrument.
Right. But I tell you, when you tell a child, he might not even think of writing.
Right.
He might think that pen is flying with the feathers and it is doing magical and it is writing by itself only.
Right.
So children are always in a fantasy world. Please allow them to be. I totally understand there need to be a discipline. I totally understand there need to be a conduct. But I do feel that a teacher has to respect that the child has a world.
Right.
Either you choose to enter into their world. If you do not choose, then you are staying it out, then that's your problem. If I am you understand, if I am today teaching a batch of English or science or anybody and teenagers or 14 years old, I tell you, every day I have to learn which is a marvel which is going on. That is responsibility for me, because I do not connect with them. I need to know what is a BTS.
Yeah.
Not because I am coming to I had a generational competition. No. Because I have to have that knowledge that what are they anxious about? What is their anxiety going on? What is that carrying around? So, when a child walks in the corridor, if a teacher shuffles his hair and say, "Hey, buddy, not smiling today," this does not mean indiscipline. But you see, everybody knows physiologically we have happy hormones in our body. Like this, it clicks.
Yeah.
Like this, it connects. Next time, if he's actually not feeling good, you will be the first person he'll come to. We need to conduct ourselves outside the class in much better way. Even as a science teacher, if it's raining, we teach rain at certain time and monsoon at certain time, and because its curriculum is like that, we have to teach it in February. Right. But if a monsoon is happening right now, kindly show them that this is how monsoon is. This is what nimbus cloud is. This is what cumulus or whatever clouds are. I'm not saying that experimentally teachers are not doing that, but interrelation, inclusivity is still missing. People think the moment being a teacher is a very conscious effort. So you see, I'll tell you a very simple example and you'll get it. You enter in a class, you tell everybody focus, and you turn your body and start writing. What do you think teacher will focus, child will focus on? It's a human nature. When you want to focus, even now, when I'm talking to you, I have to have eye to contact.
Yeah.
If I have an eye to eye contact this time, I understand, I receive everything. Yeah. Any child cannot have a focus on your body. Right. You need to decide in a way. Let them do whatever you like, you write, and then you turn and now you say, you focus on me.
Right.
So these are little small things, but these are very conscious efforts. Being a teacher is not doing a B.Ed. Right. Being a teacher is not also doing an expert of a subject. It is. But being a teacher is understanding what is the process of learning. So my first thing is that teacher needs to be very conscious. My second thing is, out loud I want to tell, school leaders need to maintain respect of every teacher. in front of everybody. There is no junior teacher or a senior teacher. Junior teachers, preschoolers are very important foundation. Children fall back in English because, see, in India, in our system, from nursery we start alphabet. For till 12th, we are studying English. Still, we can't write an email.
Right.
Now we are very happy that Chat GPT has come. Solves every problem.
Yeah.
Not because we are synthetically very smart. We are synthetically very smart. Grammar, this, that. But semantically, we have not thought.
Correct.
We have never thought about it. Think about it. So teaching is just not about syntax. Teaching is the power of thinking.
Right.
And that can only be done when you connect. How many times an art teacher, a music teacher, a sports coach is actually interacting with the main subject teachers? Is the main subject teacher doesn't even know that? You see, imagine a scenario where an art teacher every week sits with all the science teachers and geography teachers. Because if I am a geography teacher and I tell my art teacher that I am to the 8th grader teaching rivers, see, every art teacher teaches landscapes. Right. Everybody has made that mountain in their life, and the middle is a river coming up. Right. I'm sure 90% of all of us has made that. Yeah. A teacher will also do that. But if we have the close interactions between the peers, mutual respect, there can be lot of things which our teacher will consciously do it. Right. When she makes a white cloud or she makes a gray cloud, that is when makes a difference, when she understands that, okay, this is what is happening. So curriculum designing cannot be in a independent way. It has to be very interrelated. It is like Gardner's theory. A lot of schools are using, like Billabong is using multidisciplinary theory. They use interdisciplinary teaching, but those interdisciplinary teaching also need to have those subjects which are like music, like art, because they are the subjects in which the child is at the highest, happiest. So it comes a lot of responsibility for the school leaders, that is school management, to create the scenarios where teachers have a more interaction. I tell you, teachers work in silos. They work very independent. English teacher is working all the time in staff room for English. Maths one is like, I am the genius, because in India, if you know maths, you are genius. Right. So Hindi teacher is still struggling to get a respect that I am a Hindi teacher. Right. Only the Hindi Divas, which comes on 14th September, she has to decorate whole school. Come on. When Amitabh Bachchan speaks a very good Hindi poetry, we all love it. Right. When Modi ji speaks, we all love it. So let us create those kind of interaction first. Right. And don't jump to the children. Yeah. First, let us take conscious decisions at our level. Let's create those scenarios. Then when you shift that, then automatically children will speak like that. Automatically, the teachers becomes the hero of the class. Yeah. This is what. And the third only intervention I want to give, every time you teach moral science, social emotional learning, when NEP has made it compulsory, general knowledge, GK is the base of civil services. But general knowledge is taught by a maths teacher or some teacher who has no background of general knowledge. They're just teaching it. Please don't give such kind of a lightness to those things which are the foundation of career. Right. I know that there is a little time, systematically 8 to 2 is a school, but still interventions have to be found in a way where children can increase their awareness. If a total term I will use, it will only be awareness. Right. And that has to be done. That is very, very important. Very later, I tell you, we recognize. I ask you, Rajiv, then when I'll tell you mine, I understood newspaper completely very late in life. Right. I knew newspaper reading is a very good habit. Now, though, unfortunately, newspapers are not even there for the children. At least our paper, Papa used to read that. But I could only read certain matter. Only when I went into civil services did I realize that what is the new structure of newspaper, what are editorials, what's the sport news, what is this section, what is that section. Yeah. So let's not make our life, children life so late to realize it. Right. Let's take some steps early. And if schools think that how to do it, contact people like us. We will make you help to do it. Right. Yeah.
No, that's very true. In fact, as an aside, we at my age and stage, me and my wife, we still listen to YouTube channels which are for UPSC aspirants, just because of the sheer learning and exposure it provides us.
Exactly.
Because that's one stream where they force you to be aware of society and aware of everything that is happening in the world. And as compared to news channels, I think these guys do a much better job of
Yeah,
summarizing the developments and bringing out the learning or the essence of these developments.
true.
So that's something I would recommend without naming any particular channel. I think many of them are doing a good job, and that's a great way to be in touch, in this age and era, as compared to reading newspapers in our time.
Also, it is very important, like when we have house parties nowadays, I think metros have a lot of house parties together, friends
Yeah,
together. It's very important for children to have some thoughts inside.
yeah,
Unless you fill your mind with a lot of creative and knowledgeable things, when you speak you should have some talk.
right,
Otherwise you discuss something which is irrelevant of your life.
yeah,
So let's talk something relevant, not all the time, even light. Even if you want to joke, its sense of humor is respected when you don't bully anybody, when you
right,
don't like make
right,
a joke which is light for everybody. But
right,
are we really conscious? Like if you speak English, people love English, but don't speak a slang English and feel very proud of it.
yeah,
You know?
yeah,
So these are things which are very important. I do believe.
right. Yeah, so I'm sure these three mantras that you've given can change the way education is seen and perceived, and in the corridors of schools and colleges. NEP, I'm sure is a step in the right direction,
Yes, yes,
although it's only a policy document or enshrining the principles. The actual implementation needs to happen on the ground, and
true,
that's the key. But I think. A lot of the lessons that you spoke about from an education standpoint also apply to corporates. As you were talking about the things, I couldn't help but correlate it back to the corporate environment, where a lot of these issues still persist. Particularly the teachers being branded as such, and somebody's stream being given higher importance, others being given less importance. Everybody working in silos. That is so typical of
true.
an organization where, depending on the culture, one function of the organization or one business unit is seen as God's gift to the
Yeah,
organization,
yeah,
and they don't interact so much with the others. Whereas we all know from the history of the business world that if the two things, for example, finance and sales growth don't go hand in hand, then you can just go bust because
absolutely.
you've not managed your money well, and growth actually could be a bad thing. Whereas the sales guy may think that growth is always and always a good thing.
Correct,
So
correct.
yeah, there are many such examples, but it's fascinating how lessons from education, early primary education, can apply so deeply to problems that the largest corporations of the world are even facing
Absolutely.
today.
True, true,
And
true.
I think at the root of that is, this whole aspect or dimension of connection. And, now in your latest endeavor, I think you are talking about, bringing things together through this connection. And you spoke about things beyond the intelligence quotient, the values and all of that.
Yeah.
So, what are your thoughts on these other aspects that we need to connect with?
So when like you said in corporate, when we operate, and there's a high level of decision making at every juncture. Even if I'm deciding for my peer that do this task this way, there's a very very important decision making for me. So, and how are we derive our decision? We may say don't derive your emotional decisions by your emotion, but sometimes you should actually. You should. Emotions are not to be taken always as a weak thing.
Right.
In Connect, what we are trying to do is, I have worked with teams at an organization level, senior level, lot of teams in South in Kerala. We work with the Vedic IS Academy in this here and non-profit from US. A lot of organizations I worked with, but I realized that something which is very important for any leader is that a leader, like you said, it has having a lot of responsibility to also understand the emotional status of the person, also recognize his uniqueness, like you said, the superpower they carry, also recognize that till what they can have a growth. So every team member is having that growth chart. So for that, what kind of mindsets are to be there so that they can grow or fall off, then how they grow. So all these things. And also you see, A lot of software engineers go to US and they there love India.
Right.
So it means it is not that, oh, now you have gone to US, so you are loving India. No, because India is within you. And when I say India, it's about your culture. You still would love the roti which you will eat at home. You're living without a roti, that's another thing. So
Right.
culture is something which is there in our every cell of the body. But when we need it, when we feel proud to be connected, do we feel proud to connect? Do we feel that root, that okay? And are we actually, you see, nowadays, I tell you, Sir Rajiv, even on online YouTube channels and many where there is a lot of debates,
Yeah.
lot of debates going on, and sometimes it happens that those debates do impact the youth of India as well. So it is very important to give the children and the youth that environment in center. We are having Bharat immersion, a complete section of Bharat immersion. We have put the eclectic collection of books from the child to the adult, so
Right.
that they get to hold those content which can give them the right information. So in Connect, when we say 4 quotient, it is about emotional quotient primarily. I'm very, very, very important about it. I feel children, any human being, need to acknowledge their emotion, accept their emotion, learn to express their emotion, and make the emotion their a power, not the weakness, strength. Then we are working with value quotient. So I have got a big honor of working with Archimission Delhi in their value education program. I was working with them, and and too much. It was such a learning experience for me. So we designed value quotient because values are very important. I do not believe that dharma and karma is different. I do the agarbatti or I have certain value system, but when I sit on the table of I cannot. I have to be very value oriented. We do business also, value proposition with our products also. So value is something which is very important. We are working with that value quotient. Children operate with that. And third is the culture quotient. I personally believe there is no problem in going abroad and anywhere in the world, or being in your own city, but having that mere respect of not disrespecting your culture. Also little nuances of when we join hands, what is the meaning? When we touch the feet of elders, what is the meaning? These are all very scientific things. They are not just things which are very famous because of yoga.
Right.
They're very scientific. They can actually elevate your whole self, your anxiety, your stress, your distraction, everything can be managed by our cultural rituals, which are very important. So we are focused on that also, giving those little practices of breath work and a lot of stances. And then is a skills. A skill, one of the most important skill right now we are focusing is reading. So we are doing speed reading and all. And another is communication. So that is positive talk, effective communication. And it is communication not only by your technique of speaking. Communication means authenticity of your views, authenticity of understanding how to put your thought in the right words and make that reach the other people. So we are working in EQ, emotional quotient, VQ, value quotient, CQ, culture quotient, and SQ, skill quotient. We're trying to figure out in a way that the child feels and takes these ushers with him or her as they walk in the journey of life.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's fascinating. Normally, people only contrast and compare IQ with EQ.
Yeah.
And in a previous episode, we had a guest who spoke about SQ, which is spiritual quotient. And yeah, nice to see that we are expanding the repertoire of quotients that we need to develop and be cognizant of. And that's so important because we are not unidimensional creatures,
Yeah.
and the so-called academic intelligence or the proof thereof in terms of grades or what pedigree of institution you are studying is not what should define one
Yeah.
in society. It's so many other things, as you mentioned, your EV, and S. So yeah, that is
And also when you are intellectually very high and you are topper or you are doing great work at a highest level, if you miss out these things, then you
right.
do not create impact. You're very self-centered. You are becoming successful all the time. But
Right.
important is, I do something today and it creates an impact. It has a ripple
Right.
effect.
Yeah.
Kalam Saab is not Kalam Saab because he did something for himself. He did it something for the generations.
Right.
So
Yeah.
everybody can be a hero in their own life by establishing something which can be a ripple effect for generations to generations, and that can definitely be, if you are scholarly and you are very intellectual, then it is your first thing you should be doing is balancing your EQ and your VQ, because
Right.
then is your responsibility of taking your intellect and creating the impact in the lives of people, because you do
Right.
have that superpower.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, absolutely. And yeah, I mean, all these initiatives are under, the Connect Center that you've developed. And, now when I look back at our conversation, everything kind of connects very well, because what you've been speaking about, for instance, about the three things that we need to do to change education. Essentially, if you look back and, if people go back and rewind the video, they will see that those three things kind of connect back to these, EVs, C and S quotients, and
Yeah.
some of the things we spoke about, how to develop skills. That's essentially your ability to learn, to think, and to introspect, and to learn, or to be able to teach somebody and to show them the way. That is all part of, I would imagine, developing skills, or the ability to develop skills, or the ability of knowing how to learn.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I guess that's what education is, because things are so dynamic in today's world. What we are, the subject matter that we are studying today may totally become, irrelevant, or may modify itself substantially over a period of time, over the course of our working lives. So it's important to continuously be on that learning path. Many of the principles that you've spoken about, from the perspective of early education and school and college, apply as much, to adult learning as they would to the children. And it becomes much more difficult, of course, to do this in adulthood, because of the programming that you
Yeah. Yeah.
that you
Yeah.
mentioned. So I think the way out is really to, as we've said maybe for the third time, is to think and bring to fore that uh, basic ability which defines us as who we are as human beings, as opposed to say the
Yeah.
animal kingdom, or whatever. So that's fascinating. I'm sure the audience got a lot of value from your experiences, your thoughts on so many different subjects, and we were able to connect everything together.
We will continue the conversations and the connections in the next episode, featuring the remainder of this discussion around entrepreneurship and social entrepreneurship. And before you go, make sure you like this video and comment on what you learned from today's conversation. Do ensure that you subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon too, so that you don't miss out on the insights from all the future videos. For the past videos of Season 1 and Season 2 of Unleash with FTEM, check out the playlists on our channel. The key takeaways from this discussion will be featured in a post on our website fromtheexpertsmouth.com. So you can keep reading and watching until we see you in the next episode.